My name is Marcell Hansen, and you're listening to Small Habits, Big Changes. Let's dive in. Welcome. I hope this episode, listen or watching, finds you well. As we wrap up this year, I wanted to touch a little on agency and cause and effect. I've spoken with a number of people lately who inspired this episode, and I think it's pertinent for a lot of people in today's day and age that are feeling that they don't have control or influence over their circumstances. And I'm here to say that is not the case. No matter how you feel in North America, you nearly have complete agency. You get to decide whether you are the cause of something or at the effect of something. Literally, you can choose, but you can only choose one. You don't get to flip-flop back and forth. You choose one, and that's your operating system. Computers have an operating system. We have an operating system. If you believe in something greater than yourself, if you have an attitude of gratitude, you're grateful, you can count your blessings, it's a lot easier for you to feel at cause. If you don't believe in something greater than yourself, and maybe you've made some poor decisions in the past that may or may not be haunting you, you may feel as though you are more at the effect, that the world and things are done unto you as opposed to your benefit. This is a complete choice, a choice over your reality. You can choose whether to see that cup overfloweth or half empty or bone dry or anywhere in between or anywhere along that spectrum. You get to choose, and you get to choose it each and every day. The thing is, there is a bit of inertia in it. It does, once you set your operating system, it does a number of things by default, just like our computers do. I'm a Mac person, part of my identity. Just kidding. I use a Mac. I have used Mac products for over 20 years, but prior to that, I did use PC. And there are certain things within both of those operating systems that happen automatically. They're built into the code. They just happen. And some of you might even hear that and be like, exactly, shit just happens to me. I don't have control over it. And it's not towards my betterment. Hear what I have to say. Each and every day, you choose the operating system. So if one day your operating system is not serving you, the reality you view, the thoughts you have, the feelings you have, then change it. It is that simple. It is not a difficult task. What's difficult is for you to see that it is your operating system. At one point in time, you chose it. And as a result, a lot of your actions, your thoughts, every bit of your being and operating activity now follows some of those defaults within the operating system. But that does not mean that they are yours indefinitely. Just because I choose to use a Mac today does not mean I would not go back to a PC tomorrow or next week. It does specifically for me. I will never go back to a PC because I choose Macintosh. I choose Apple products. But you choose your operating system. We're not in a communist country, the United States, Canada. And while you may feel as though your vote is not influential, depends on what state you're a voter in, mostly. There's a few states, there's probably 6 states out there that do actually have some influence. The rest of you, if you feel like that is not something you can influence, then move along. Don't choose to dwell there. That is you choosing to be cause of your life and not the effect of something outside, an external influence on you. You are at cause for your language, for your beliefs, for, believe it or not, even things that you were brought up, whether you were brought up in a certain religion, in a certain dogma, in a certain education level, in a certain societal class, in a certain way, in a certain geography. You can't change necessarily, unless you become like a sociopathic liar, you can't change necessarily that part of your past. You can change how it influences you and how you behave as a result. If you want to follow in those footsteps, you certainly can. And it's probably It's probably fairly easy if you stick with those classes of people, if you stick with those groups of people, stay in the same neighborhood, you don't ever move out, you raise your children there. It's probably relatively, until that neighborhood may be gentrified and changes over, but it's relatively effortless. You want to go against the grain and change your behavior and your actions and your thoughts, and you move into a more progressive or a different type of environment, city, group of people. It'd probably be easier. You still can do that. You can change your perspective and your thoughts and your beliefs. You can change, and your feelings. You can change those and stay in that. It's a little more challenging, but it can be done. You're not a victim unless you choose to be, no matter what. To be victimized happens to many that don't walk around and wear that as their identity. To have things that have not been fair or just happen to you or happen in your life, that's part of life, but your perspective and your reality that you create from that perspective of how it affects you and how it affects your children and the people around you and your thought patterns, that's all you. And as a metaphysician, it goes further in influence for me in that you choose your dis-ease as well. If you're stressed over a certain situation, whether it be work or a relationship or home life in your community, you're choosing that. And the effects it has on your body, you are at choice around. Now, oftentimes people don't see it that way. They feel stress is inevitable and that they can't do anything about it. And that's not true. And feelings of anxiousness, of fear, of sadness, of overwhelm, these are at your choice as well. I'm not saying that there is not justification for feeling maybe a certain way, but when something becomes chronic and you are continually fearful of something or continually overwhelmed, feeling of stress about something, it is 100% your choice. One, to be exposed to that. Two, to how you take it in and the self-care that happens as a result of that. These are all things that you have agency over. So you can choose. You can choose to be the cause, or you can choose to be the effect, but you only get to choose one. I think why this is important is because I believe everyone wants to be healthier on some level. They want to do better. They want to feel better. And a lot of what I hear and see is they are the only thing standing in their way. It's not their job or their spouse or their children or their car or their neighborhood. It's them. Now, where this comes into play, obviously, for most of you would be able to see that your mindset is heavily dependent. It's predicated on these beliefs that you're carrying around of your identity of right or wrong or black and white. Whatever it is you think becomes your habitual. And the more rigid you become in thought and practice and belief, the harder it is to peel those layers back and to embrace a curiosity and an eagerness to learn or to change. If you're listening and you're trying to get better on hydrating or daily movement or eating nutritious meals, eating whole foods, clean foods, or if you're trying to create a sleep regime. This is all the craze now. They've been talking about this for the last couple of years. Every YouTube guru comes on there is talking about research about quality sleep, about hydration, about exercise, about eating well. And it's taken a long time. The oppressed, the big pharma and big food have been running the show for 60 years here. I have been saying the same thing for 25 years. I created a protocol, if you will. It's called My Stable Table, and it embraces these 4 elements and allows anyone at any level to incorporate the framework, the protocol into their daily lives and better their lives in not just the areas of hydration and exercise and nutritious meals and quality sleep, but in all areas. But this basis, the My Stable Table protocol, is the basis of all good: accountability, the ability to commit, to be consistent, to show up, to be in integrity, to be congruent, to be connected, to be accountable and responsible, not only to other people. When a lot of people hear me say that, they think I am responsible and I'm accountable to my kids and my boss and everybody, and I'm last. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you cannot be accountable to yourself, if you can't say, I'm going to do this and know with certainty that you're going to do it, then that should be your first priority, is getting that in alignment. Because the truth is, your parents, your kids, your boss, your colleagues, your employees, your neighbors, they're not benefiting from your half-assed job. That's just the facts. That's the facts. You're not doing anybody any favors by doing a half-assed job of being a human. You're a perfect spiritual being. You're having a human experience. The name of the game, the way to win, is to survive, is to thrive, is to do more, is to be better, is to be more accountable, to be more responsible, to be more communicative, to be more loving, to be more giving, to be more supportive, to be more compassionate, to be more kind, to be more. And there may not be an end. We've maybe seen a couple people who have really excelled in a number of these characteristics. Mother Teresa, very compassionate, spent the majority of her life giving to others. And the truth is, the secret to living is giving. And she figured it out. Was she an amazing businesswoman? I don't know. I don't know that much about her. But a lot of people may succeed and thrive in one area of their life and really struggle in the other. Some people may excel. They have optimized one area of their life. It's very common. Someone who excels in business is falling short in their relationship. Someone who kills it in their relationship cannot make money. It's maybe they're really good at hydration, but they have not figured out how to implement daily movement or nutritious meals. Maybe they eat really well, they just don't want to exercise, or they stay up late at night. There's a lot going on in the human experience. And I think if you take a step back and show yourself some grace and understand that you are learning, it's so much easier to proceed, to continue, to try. I think it's motivation in and of itself. If you can see that there's so much more out there. It's not about perfection. It's about just living wholly, being the best you can be, not just, okay, I've reached the best me I can be and that's it. Now I'm going to go off. No, every single day, that's a recreation. It's work. It fluctuates. There's an ebb and flow. There are days where you are going to travel and hydration may be easy because you're in the car and you have a water bottle or 6 water bottles that you could consume. You may be traveling by plane where it's not as easy. You may only have 1 or 2 bottles because it's a little tougher to have that accessible. Maybe you're traveling and you're on a plane and you've ordered your meals and so you're going to eat. Maybe you're in a car and you're traveling and there's no place where you can stop and you forgot to pack your lunch. You don't have any healthy snacks. There are things each and every day, whether you're traveling, whether you're working, whether it's a day you have off, whether it's a day of self-care. Every day is going to look a little different. If you have kids, it's going to be swimming lessons here. It's going to be baseball practice there. If you have a dog, you're walking the dog. If the dog passes away, you're mourning the dog. Life is full of changes. Each and every day, there's those ups and downs that you need to learn how to take with grace and with soft knees, not with your legs locked. And things that you did 15 years ago that you nailed, that you were like, I was on it when I was 30. If you're 45 now, those things won't apply. So 80% of them will not even fuel you the same way they did. 1, your priorities are probably different. 2, your body's different. 3, your hormones within your body have changed. Maybe your motivation's different. Maybe your North Star, your guiding light, your legacy is different. Maybe you've lost a parent or a child or both or a partner. Your perspective has changed. Your actions have changed. Your thoughts, your feelings, and your results have changed. So it changes everything. Maybe where you live now, you're further out and you have to grow your own food. which is a blessing, but it's hard work. And you have to work outside of that. And you have to maintain that on your evenings and your mornings and your weekends. And that's how you eat fresh foods. That's your choice, to eat cleanly. Maybe you live in the city and you just have to hunt around town to find the local markets and the local farmers that you can purchase from, because most of the stuff in the stores nowadays is garbage. It's mass produced. It is overly produced, overly packaged. It has a barcode. It's in a bag. It's wrapped in plastic. These are all things that we need to think about. I hope that if you entered this episode feeling as though you were at effect, that at least you see that there is an inkling of light at the end of the tunnel or in the middle of the tunnel, and that you have just a smidge of agency to potentially change being at cause. If you understand you're at cause and you are empowered living your life daily, I hope that hearing that is the way to go reinforces that within you. It provides you with more strength. And I hope you continue to listen and invite your friends and families and loved ones to hear a message that may be applicable to them and may inspire them. I do have a free wellness texting community. You can text your challenges or any topics that you want to hear me discuss to that number. It comes directly to me. It is on the outro, but I'll give it right now. You can text the word yes to 206-483-2960. That's right. 206-483-2960. You can text in really anything that you're up against. If you want to give feedback on a particular episode and you're listening, then send it via text to that message. If you're in YouTube, feel free to comment down below anything you want to hear about, hear my view on, or you're challenged by a bit of your stable table might be a little wobbly. Hit it up in the comments and I'll do my best to respond to each and every one of you. In closing, I invite you to look at maybe a limiting belief that you have. During the course of our day, we probably come up against 2,000, 10,000, whatever thoughts. And there are some that pop up that probably pop up almost automatically. They're built into that software. They're built into our operating system that we've chosen. We chose the operating system, but some of the defaults come as a surprise sometimes. And I invite you to challenge that. You are the programmer. And while programming and writing code is really tricky in computer world, to me, a non-code writing person, it's not tricky when it comes to our own operating system. It's just not. You just have to be curious. You have to ask the questions, the good questions. What if I thought something differently? You can dive into like, where did I get that idea? Who'd that come from? But then you can say, what else could be true? What are some other options? What else might I believe? Thanks again for listening. I've committed to showing up weekly to present an episode on a topic that has touched me or someone has asked about, that a client may have brought up. It's really just documenting my journey. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm an entrepreneur. I run a couple businesses. I do have a wellness protocol. I'm happy to share it with you. I'd love the whole world to be on it. Just altruistically, when we have structure, not over structure, but enough structure to guide us to making good decisions, that structure helps us to maintain consistency in our decision making. Sometimes it is hard when I travel. I've traveled a couple times this month and my metrics show it. I still have 100% sleep score. I still am eating well. And because I'm metabolically flexible, I can choose to just fast in a 36-hour trip. I can just have one meal and I'm totally fine because I'm not on that glucose roller coaster that most people are. But when you get to a point where you can really manage what operating system you want to have each and every day, then there's so much more flexibility. Yes, there's structure in it, but that structure provides a ton of freedom. I've just chosen not to be a slave to sugar, not to be a slave to media, not to be a slave to anything outside of myself, my spiritual being. I have chosen not to follow the masses. And I hope you do too, because while there's some lonely bits on the road, it's the only way to go. Synchronistically, I cross paths with like-minded people pretty regularly. And it's pretty cool at this point how that comes to be, how kismet, whatever that energy, that magical sorcery is that's going on that has you cross paths with someone who's lived almost a parallel life to you and someone you can really like connect with and see congruence. You won't see it in the masses, probably not in our lifetime. It's a huge swing that needs to happen for that. But for every one of us that believes in something bigger than ourselves, for every one of us who holds a space for other people to step into that, for every one of us, each of us who has our own dream, our goal, our mission, and strives to reach that or chase that potential each and every day makes a difference. That vibration impacts the mass consciousness, and it is necessary. So I invite you to use your voice, to use your consciousness, to use your silence, to use your given talents, your passions, the things you love, to make the world a better place, and to not reserve that, to not hold it back, because in that way, life is really short. And if you do one more day, one more month, one more year, one more decade of something you love, if you're involved in that, you'll never regret it. I wish you all much love and happiness. Thank you again for lending me your ear. And I hope to cross paths with many of you who resonate with this message in the next 100 years. Until we meet again, be blessed and be awesome. Thank you so much for listening today. If you feel any part of this episode resonated with you, then please consider sharing it with a friend who may also find value in it. And remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And before you go, did you know we have a fantastic free text community? If you want more bite-sized health hacks and reminders delivered directly to your phone, absolutely free, then text keyword YES to 206-483-2960. Again, that's keyword YES to 206-483-2960. And we'll see you on the inside.